Okay, let's call this meeting to order. City of North Kansas City, Missouri, regular council meeting and a motion to close part of the meeting, September 3rd, 2019. Could we have a moment of silence? Approval of the agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Comments from the public, Mr. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Come on.
Yeah.
I apologize. Hi, my name is Lisa Deginger Wood, and I live at 2414 Erie Street. Over the past Labor Day weekend, my husband and I had a chance to go on the bike trails that we're putting in, and I want to tell you, I think they're fabulous. I want to thank you for being forward-thinking enough that you consider green space and that you consider health and the interest of the community. I'm looking forward to having my 10-year-old granddaughter ride with me because it's a safe space and it's fun. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bert?
My name's Bert Knox at 1000 East 25th Avenue. My neighbors are here. Do you need me to introduce them? I just wanted to say that they're all here that are the people that own the properties that's adjacent to the property that I addressed at the first regular meeting that was at the beginning of July. That's the piece of property that's managed by the city that we're addressing right now.
So Mr. Knox had let me know that he was going to be here tonight, so we did take the liberty of going ahead and preparing for this public comment, the same picture that we put up for you at that time.
Right. Well, the individuals are here, the rest of my neighbors that have each of the homes at, my house is there at 1000, and the rest of the neighbors is off to the east on the north side of 25th Avenue. And we were here initially, when I came to the meeting in the beginning of July to address that we wanted you to install two signs, one at the end of the center of the lot where there's already an existing signpost now on 25th Avenue, where that, at the bottom of that red triangle, rectangle. And then on the right, right there where that arrow was just at, we want you to install a post and a sign. And we'd like for those signs to read, no dogs closed to through traffic 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And my neighbors and I have brainstormed all this. We don't want to do anything that infringes as the utilization of this city property that's managed by the city, by other people that can make use of it. But over the years, and I've been there 24 years, but now with the advent of the internet and social networking, things can change quickly. So that's why now, because of changing times and people generally overall just aren't as polite as they used to be, we want this addressed. We'd like to have this done. This is the first step in what we'd like to do to secure this property, because I've got neighbors here now, and if you want to hear from them, they'll tell you so. The women, they don't want to sleep with their windows open at night, because people transit through this area at night, and they do it under the guise of walking their dogs. We're affected by the city's management of this property, the present way that it is, in three ways. One of them is our quality of life. We're being awakened at night because of people that come through this corridor of property here. Our security. Now, how many people want people, and sometimes these people come between these houses. That affects our security. And the third thing is, it directly affects our property values. And nobody wants to live next door to a piece of property that's being utilized as a 24-hour private dog park by an elite group of people. I've had a gentleman approach me and let me know that he is connected with somebody, and I don't know who it is, and I don't want to start no rumors. But he's let me know that he's, either by someone's recommendation or at their request or whatever, that he's got the blessings of somebody higher ranking with the city to come here and utilize this as his own private dog park. And I hope that's not so. And I'd like to get 2 signs put up there. So what are we gonna have to do to try to get that done?
You know, we've talked on the phone even, and, you know, I live around the corner.
Yeah,
And the problem with signs, now, I recognize your problem, especially people walking down that next to your house and then going behind everybody's house. But the trouble with signs, people won't obey the signs. So I talked to you about that. The only thing I can see that could be done is fencing. People don't like fencing, but I can guarantee you signs don't work. We have signs at the dog park to pick up after your dogs, and a lot of people don't.
well,
You know, so the
we've
sign-
brainstormed this idea, me and my neighbors.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, we've brainstormed, we've thought through every scenario. Now, I'll tell you the problem with the fence. Deer come down that corridor and they get funneled in there the same way all the dogs in town funnel out of the avenues and gravitate towards that blank spot right there. You know, it's in reverse. I got pictures right here on my phone of deer running up and down 25th Avenue at night.
No, I know the area.
They're gonna funnel right in there and they'll be all confused and running all around. Plus, I don't mind them running around. They was there even before I was 24 years ago. But I think if you just put up 2 signs, it's not gonna be a problem. We've had trouble over the years with transients being out there. And with time, you know, you just let the police know. The police know how to handle that. They've been doing it for years. We've had kids back there having sex. We call them up. They know exactly what to do. One on one end, one on the other, lights off. They come back here, hit them with their lights, load them up, get out of here, put your clothes on. I mean, it ain't like they don't know how to handle the problem. And if you put up 2 signs, and people that shouldn't be in there with dogs, and they shouldn't be back there between after 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I have certainly had nothing against the signs myself.
I think we're aware of the situation, and we're gonna address it somehow or another, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Question. So we've heard from you, and then we've heard again from another person, and then we've heard from you again. What's it going to take to put 2 signs up and see what happens?
Yeah, I
Just-
think
just
the
tell
sign
us.
Hey,
is-
I'll volunteer to buy the signs and the posts.
No,
I'm
we
not in favor
just
of
tell us
fencing, but
to.
let's
Yeah,
do
let's
this.
do
But
it.
then I guess the other question is, what verbiage do you want on the
I was
sign? Do
gonna
you want
ask
what
if-
they're suggesting? No one
No
allowed?
dogs.
If no one
Closed
allowed
to-
after 10 p.m.,
Nope.
though, do we have to have an ordinance, though, to make it enforceable? That was my question. Sorry.
Perhaps, but then
Yeah, I
again, if
think
we
if
put
you're
the
gonna-
signage up, that might encourage conformance.
Better
Uh,
than
I
a
was just
fence.
wondering, then
We
it
don't want
wouldn't be
a fence.
enforceable, though, unless you had.
It
I don't
probably,
like
it might
fence.
not be enforceable, you're right, but, we can, but certainly, that's all it takes, is just tell us that you want it done.
Why don't we work this out? Let's keep moving on.
All right, Mr. Knox, so why don't you just, send me the verbiage so I make sure that I have what you're looking for, so.
Aye.
Okay,
Thanks, sir.
thank you.
Anybody else?
No, we're done.
I think we got the message. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
That seems like the bigger
Zach,
issue.
let them talk. If you guys want to talk, you come up and talk. Don't let council send you a message that you cannot come up and talk. Yes, you go right ahead.
Pauline Pettit. My name is Pauline Pettit. I live at 1016 East 25th, and I own the home at 1020 East 25th. And I can't, this past year has been a lot worse. People even without dogs, midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, and that's kind of scary to walk out, step out your back door to let my dog out, and there's a guy out there, or with or without a dog, it's both. So we just feel like if we could at least try like they do for the parks. The parks say no one should be in there, between, midnight and 6 or something. Can we just try something and see if we can deter it some? That's my thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have an ordinance for the parks that, between midnight and 6? Could we make
Yeah.
this a
So
small
the way
city
the way it
park?
works is Parks Department has adopted rules, which then we, by resolution, agreed to enforce. So if you want it enforceable so that the police department can actually go in, then we'll have to look at some kind of a formal action to bring to you to probably And it could get a little complicated just because it's right up against Mackin Park and all, but we could try to define that area if you like and make it a formal prohibition, or we could try to do it more informally.
Does it abut Mackin Park?
Well, can we put up, yeah, can we put the,
Where the bike track is,
Uh-huh.
and it opens right up into back there, so it's all connected.
Yeah, no,
to
that's
the-
cool.
so
This is Wheel Park, yeah.
the track is there and then Mackin,
I see.
Wheel
So
Park,
maybe
it's
just a
actually
weird
Wheel
little
Park, it's
addition.
over in the northwest,
Annex.
northwest picture, or northwest corner of that
Yeah,
picture.
one question on, didn't you say it's, maybe you just said that, but the city property runs all the way across that strip? All the way.
Yes, it is,
So it's one continuous,
yes.
okay,
They do.
Wouldn't call it parkland, but it is city property.
okay,
It
thank
does
you.
seem, it seems to me just doing a no trespassing sign in general without doing ordinance would be my suggestion, just to see if it works as a deterrent. And then if it doesn't work as a deterrent, we could think about it in a deeper manner. That would make it a lot quicker for these residents to have resolution.
Yeah.
And it'd give us an opportunity to see if the sign works.
Sure.
So I,
Well,
We gotta go back there and mow our yards and weed eat around the fence. So you make it no trespassing, we ain't even supposed to be back
between those
there.
hours you suggested, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I
That's what
just
I'm-
said. No
I'm-
dogs closed to
No.
through traffic 10 PM to 6 AM.
And another one of your residents suggested just a no trespassing sign for that same duration of time, which would accomplish both having dogs and/or just interlopers, if you will, wandering by your homes. If you make it too specific, then individuals can just still continue to walk there
Well-
even without a dog.
I'm saying if you put no trespassing, that mean us too. The adjacent property owners, I gotta go out on the outside of my
Yeah.
fence and weed
Right.
eat it.
I'm talking about the
Enforceable.
hours you referred to.
Okay.
All right.
Moving right along. Anybody else? Okay, consent agenda?
I move the consent agenda be okayed as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, number 8.
Item number 8, on-street parking, 1400 block of Swift.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. Back in April, the city council considered a request to restrict on-street parking in the 1400 block of Swift. And after some discussion at that council meeting, including some suggestions by others in the area that they try to work things out privately before any kind of a public action was taken, the council did decide not to take any action at that time to see if perhaps the problem would resolve itself. But you have had a renewed request to restrict the parking on the east side of the 1400 block of Swift, make that 2-hour timed parking. And so that the renewed quest is now in front of you, and I won't really go through the entire memo that was in your packet, but if you have any questions, we'd be happy to try to answer them. Otherwise, this matter is in your hands for some kind of direction.
Is there any public opposition that you know of, or that staff knows of, to this change?
Not that I know of, but we haven't.
Heard anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say Sean helped collect three letters of support, plus I talked to Kylie down at Velo Garage, and they were all generally okay with that east side 2-hour restriction. A lot of our service are retail businesses where they're moving in and out. So you have the NKC, I'm not gonna butcher this name, okay, NKC Auto Trim, and so they're carrying car parts in and out. Same with Sean as a retail business, looking for that spot just right in front. And then Kylie Bike Parts, I think I already mentioned that one. But just a lot of that type of business going on right there in that block.
Do you make a motion?
So I will, then, if anyone doesn't have any other questions, then I'll go ahead and make the motion to make the 1400 block of Swift on the east side 2-hour parking.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 10.
Item number 9, actually. North Kansas City Business Council Annual Report.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. The city has an agreement with the North Kansas City Business Council, which is before you on an annual basis. for services related to business development and retention in the city. And the agreement provides, in part, that the contractor shall periodically prepare and submit to the city such reports concerning the performance of the services required by this agreement as the contract officer or his designee shall require. And the city council has indicated that it would like to get an annual report. And so Rich Groves, the executive director of the Business Council, is here to present a report on the activities of the council in the last year. And we would anticipate having that services contract, which would begin for the next fiscal year, on your next agenda, September 17th, for your consideration. So,
Go ahead.
Mayor and members of the governing body, I want to thank you for the opportunity to give a little insight into what the Business Council does and why continued support, financial support, would be beneficial to not only the business community, but the city and the residents as well. Our mission is pretty straightforward: to promote, advocate for, and encourage businesses, economic development, and quality of life in North Kansas City. A little bit about the North Kansas City Business Council. It was formed in 1993, 26 years ago, as a 501c6 organization. It's similar to a Chamber of Commerce, but we do have some parts of economic development that we also take care of as well. It's member-based, and so it's very dependent on our ability to recruit members and retain members, but that doesn't cover all of our expenses. One of the requirements for membership, which we have to deal with from time to time, is I get a call and someone says, "I'd like to talk to you about membership in the Business Council," and I say, "Where are you located?" And they say, "I'm in North Kansas City," and I ask, "Could you be a little more specific?" And well, it could be Vivian Road, it could be Zona Rosa, it could be somewhere else. So I have to go through that. But that is one thing that kind of makes us unique about our requirements. We have an executive committee. So our governing is by, the staff is two people, myself as executive director, and Paula Brooks, who's our member services and events coordinator. And we have an executive committee of President John Miller, Vice President Jack Fry, Secretary Brooks Brown, Treasurer is Jason Crowley, and the past president is Tom Hirschway. And four of those people are here tonight. I want to recognize John Miller, Jack Fry, Brooks Brown, and Tom Hirschway, who are members of the executive committee. These, you can see on this, the list of the other members of the board of directors. We have 20 members on the board. They represent 5 different sectors of business, and we try to have a good cross-section. And you can see that it's well represented by some of the more outstanding businesses in North Kansas City, and smaller and larger. So what we do is can be boiled into, I think, 3 words: support, inform, and connect. And the ways we support in a variety of ways. We offer opportunities for networking. We offer opportunities for business promotion, where we try to be attentive to the needs and issues that businesses have. We promote them. We work with businesses that are considering locating in North Kansas City to try to inform them best we can. And we have also created a website for destination attractions. And if you could switch, please, to Explore NKC. So with financial support from the city, we've created this website for communicating about the destination attractions in North Kansas City. What makes it special, I think, is that it serves all the destination attractions of North Kansas City, including those that are not necessarily members of the Business Council. So we try to be as inclusive as possible with this, and we appreciate the funding that the city helped us have to do this. Okay, we can move on to the next one. Go back to the slideshow. So in addition to support, we do inform, if you'll. We do that in a variety of ways. We do an e-newsletter after every city council meeting, which I think you're all familiar with, and which, if I had to say what is the single most appreciated thing we do by our members, that is it. You may notice when we send it out, it says for members only. So I guess those businesses that aren't members and don't know what they're missing, maybe one of the ways we could recruit more is to give them a preview of that occasionally. We have in front of you, I gave each of you, in case you didn't have it already, a copy of the business directory that we do once a year. And at the back, you'll notice the list of all 900 businesses that we're aware of in North Kansas City. In the middle is more detail about member businesses. And we have a section called 30-second elevator speeches for those businesses that cared to give us some kind of a recap of what makes them special. And you notice on pages 15, 16, 17, 18, an insert that highlights the destination attractions with a map that shows where they are. We have monthly luncheons that many of you have attended, and we try to have interesting speakers. I think in our midst tonight, we have someone who drew a big crowd at our last one, Rick Warner. He gave us a nice update about what's happening at One North, and we appreciated that. So if you could toggle to the North Kansas City Business Council website. So our primary website is nkcbusinesscouncil.com, and on it, if you were to scroll through it when you get the chance to do that, nkcbusinesscouncil.com, it has a calendar of all events. It has, we've archived all the presentations that occur at both the Northland Coffee Connect and at the monthly luncheons. That you could all go back and see any of those that you'd wish. So the third thing that we do, you can go back to the presentation now. Thank you. Is Connect. We do our best to be able to help businesses connect. We try to respond to any needs that they've expressed where they need special assistance. And this goes back a year or two, but the owner of Paul and Jack's at that time was concerned about lack of parking and the fact that there was a big parking lot across the street. And he wasn't aware who owned that parking lot or how to do anything about it. He was quite willing to insure it, pick up trash, do whatever it took. But we were able to connect him to who owns that parking lot, and that was Richard Lanning with NT Realty, who appreciated what Mark was requesting, but said this is something probably that the city ought to be interested in. And so Richard and I met with the city, and you all were quite receptive to the whole proposition. And now that parking lot has given 100 parking spaces in the evenings and the weekends instead of not being available. So we appreciate that kind of support, and we try to be attentive when we can. We have a variety of networking opportunities for connecting. We have the monthly luncheons. We have First Friday coffees. And by the way, this Friday at YMCA is the First Friday coffee for September. And we also created and sponsor continuously the Northland Coffee Connect every Wednesday morning at iWorks. We have two major events, the Mickey Finn Scholarship Golf Classic and the big event, holiday event. We do a trivia night. We just had one at Harris. 9 teams competed, including, I think, one from the city. Open house events when desired. Mentioned the business directory. Scholarships for North Kansas City High School seniors. And involvement with lots and lots of organizations. So these are some that, in behalf of the Business Council and the city, that I'm personally involved with, that gives us an opportunity in many different venues to remind people about North Kansas City and bring attention to this Clay County Economic Development, Northland CAPS, and you can read through the list. But throughout the whole metro area, KC SourceLink, also we belong to the Missouri Chamber Federation, so we have a number of contacts like that. So getting down to the financial part of this whole thing, we have 3 main sources of income. We have membership dues, we have proceeds from events and activities that we do, and we have funds from the city, and we really appreciate that $30,000. And we use it, you can see on this next slide, primarily for communication purposes. The only exception, I guess, would be the Christmas tree program. But the Chamber Master software license enables us to have a complete database and allows us to do emails and make connections. But the business directories, the quarterly newsletters, and the website and social media are the things that we use that for. So our request for this coming year is exactly the same amount, $30,000 for the same purposes. We do expect some cost increases in a couple of things. We plan to upgrade the Chamber Master to have more features that will benefit us all. And we expect to be sending out newsletters to more people as the business community grows. So that is a brief explanation of what we do and what we have. We hope that you will find it appropriate to continue this. We are due, I think, to review and hopefully be offered a renewal of the contract for services, and hope that will be favorable to you.
Just a quick question, maybe for staff more than you, Rich. And thank you for all the work that you do with the Business Council, and it's great that we have a great relationship with our Business Council to address the needs of our Business Council members. I was looking in the budget. Was there a rollover of something? I thought I saw $12,000. Eric, do you know?
Yes.
Is that
And that's not the contract that Mr. Groves was speaking of. That's actually for the Destination Attractions Initiative.
Okay, so that's for separate.
Which is in a different budget, and that was, yes, they did not expend the entire amount that they had asked for, $20,000. So they did ask we could roll over the unused portion, and we are doing that.
Okay.
In the proposed budget.
Well, I'm in favor of this as far as, thank you for the report and how our money's spent, and I'm in favor of it. It's just my opinion.
One quick thing for me, again, thank you for coming and talking about what you do and all the work you do in the community. The one thing that kind of jumped out there was the budget for social media and website. That was about half of the money allotted, a little over $14,000. Does that go out for bid, or is that, it just seems like a lot for website maintenance and social media?
We've been working with Matt Maynor, Think Strategy and Marketing, who had redone the NKC Business Council for us, upgraded it, and we also asked him to do the Explore NKC.
Okay.
And to answer your question, no, we did not go out for bid for that, but we have a great working relationship with him. He's very attentive. He goes to all the events, he videos all the events, puts them on the website and social media. So we believe he's doing a very good service for us.
Okay.
I did want to thank you for the emails, because I will use those periodically if I'm trying to recap what we've gone over the last 3 or 4, especially business-related stuff over the last 3 or 4 meetings. So it does make it easy to search for those emails and pick out some of the highlights. Thank you.
Do we need any kind of motion on this, or?
No, sir, not at this time. We'll have as I say, we'll have the agreement before you for formal consideration on your next agenda.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, now number 10.
Item 10, award of contract, city audit service, bill number 7434, ordinance number 9231.
Eric.
Thank you, sir. The city's 4-year contract with RSM US LP for auditing services expired upon completion of the fiscal year 2018 audit. So we did issue a request for proposals for the next period. This bid package was for a 3-year period with optional 1-year renewals in the 4th and 5th years. Selection committee reviewed the proposals that we received. We did receive 4, which were we graded on a number of criteria, which are listed in the memo in your packet. And we have included the bid tabulation for the 4. Based on an average of the 4 reviews, the staff committee had RSM, who had done it for the last 4 years, and Reuben Brown tied in terms of qualifications. Pricing was then considered, and RSM submitted the lowest price bid for the city audit, but not for the pension fund audit. They were not the lowest for that. Reuben Brown submitted the 3rd lowest price for the city audit, but the lowest for the pension fund audit. Staff is recommending award a contract to Reuben Brown. RSM, which performed the city audit for the past 4 years, did a good job as far as we were concerned. We didn't have any issues with their performance. But it is good practice to change auditors every so often. And so we do think it would be wise at this time to go with another firm for at least one period. Reuben Brown did perform this service for us in the period before RSM, and they also, in our view, did a good job. So we have put a resolution awarding the audit contract to Reuben Brown before you for your consideration.
First reading. Oops, go ahead. I'm sorry, Fred.
So RSM has done the most recent audit.
Yes, sir, for the last 4 years.
Yeah, thank you.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance adopting and approving an agreement between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri and Reuben Brown LLP to serve as independent auditors for the city's annual financial audit.
I move that bill number 7434 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9231.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen.
Yes.
Councilmember Farr.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong.
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman.
Yes?
Pierce.
Pierce?
Sorry.
Yes.
I was like, it's too early. It's not my
So
turn.
sorry.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman.
Yes. We moved apart so you could, like, it'd be easier.
You know, and I have it right in front of me. I just got excited
It's
about you,
very,
Valerie.
they're very close.
An ordinance adopting and approving an agreement between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri and Reuben Brown LLP to serve as independent auditors for the city's annual financial audit.
11.
Item 11, approving accounts due and payable by the city through August 30th, 2019. Bill number 7437, ordinance number 9234.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing payment of certain accounts due and payable by the city through August 30th, 2019.
I move that bill number 7437 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9234.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen.
Yes.
Councilmember Farr.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong.
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Eric.
Thank you, sir. In addition to the two reports that are in your packet, if you have any questions about those, I'd be happy to try to answer them, the upcoming city items and the YMCA financial report. I do have a number of just dates to mention. First of all, tomorrow night is your first scheduled budget work session. Those are scheduled for tomorrow night and Wednesday, September 11th, both at 6 p.m. The session tomorrow night will focus primarily on operations, although we'll be happy to try to answer any questions you have about the budget at all. But that's how we've usually managed these, is that we focus on operations in the first one and on capital items in the second. So tomorrow night we'll begin by reviewing the Parks and Recreation Fund budget and the Library Fund budget in their entirety, because those budgets are approved by separate governing boards, and to allow them not to have to stick around for entire meetings, we put them first. Then I'll do an overview of the city budget, and then we will go through the budget book department by department, fund by fund. So that's our plan for tomorrow night, and then again, scheduled for Wednesday, September 11th.
Do you need us on the 12th? Because I had blocked my calendar on the 12th as well. Is that like an overflow
I'm not,
meeting?
well, we do that just in case you're not ready to go after the 11th.
Okay.
So the last, since I've been here,
I know
you've
we've
had
got
all
a
your
lot of great
questions
meetings.
answered, you provided whatever direction you want to provide about changes by the end of the second meeting, but just in case, I guess in past years, there have been more contentious budgets, and so,
Okay.
for that reason and that reason only, that's hopefully an unlikely date.
Okay.
For September 24th, we have scheduled a special meeting to discuss the downtown streetscape plan. The city's consultant for that, planning consultant for that, Confluence, is asked to be able to present a number of ideas to the city council, get some direction from you as to design ideas that you prefer. On September 17th, we're planning on, after dark, going down and looking at the Gateway Arch and checking out lighting that'll have been prepared on a temporary basis for you to look at. Tell us whether that's something you want to proceed with more lighting of the arch, or our plan will be, we do have an executive session that's planned immediately after the regular council meeting. And then after that, we could all go down to take a quick look at the arch. We'll plug in the generator, and that will allow us to have a look at the lights. The MML conference is coming up, the Missouri Municipal League Conference. Council members Clevenger, Pierce, DeLong, and Steffen are attending, along with the Assistant City Administrator Kim Nakahodo, City Clerk Crystal Dawson, and myself. And that is from Sunday, September 8th until the morning of September 11th. So, Council members DeLong and Clevenger, you'll need to hustle back from St. Charles in time to for the budget work session that night. And lastly, the work session for your next meeting, September 17th, we're scheduling a review of the Armour Road Complete Street Project. We were actually planning on doing that October 1st, just based upon you had indicated that you wanted to see it operate for a little while, but the mayor has indicated he'd like to see that accelerated. So we are working on putting together information to you for that project, and we'll receive any input on the project that you might have. I do think it's quite possible that work session might go more than 60 minutes based upon all of the comments I know you've gotten and all of the different parts of that we'll have to review with you. So, again, that's permissible, that you would begin the regular part of the meeting after 7 o'clock if it runs long, but I'm just thinking that that's possible, that could happen.
What date was that one?
That's your next regularly scheduled council meeting, so that would be September 17th at 6 p.m.
All right, thank you.
That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Zach, I guess you're up.
Okay. Just a couple of quick items. First of all, I'd like to say that the YMCA is still looking good, having positive months, so that's great. I don't want to jinx them, so I won't say any more. I also want to thank all our neighbors for coming tonight and speaking about the issues that they've had. I want you to know that we do listen to you and that we take your advice when we can. So we do want to resolve the issue, for all parties and make it safe for you guys, behind your houses. You don't want people traipsing around behind your houses at night. So that's something that we want to help you control. So thank you for coming. Appreciate you coming and giving your comments. And then the only other thing is thank you to the Business Council for their presentation. Keep up the good work, and look forward to keeping working with you for another year. Thank you.
Yeah, on that same subject of the people walking behind the houses, I don't know if we considered it or not, but it's not just that vacant land next to Bird, but that long passageway to the park.
Right, and I think they were asking for us.
And, that would be scary, behind most of the houses on the avenues where I live on 24th, people could walk down that utility easement. And I wouldn't like that at all. That's walking, So we'll try that first. If it doesn't work, then we'll have to think of something else perhaps. Yeah, it's all the way down to the park because
Folks, we can't hear if you're not on a microphone. Yeah.
But they're talking about from Bert's house all the way to the park. And I myself have taken a walk down through there, and they're right behind their houses all the way from the corner all the way to the park I found whiskey bottles and beer bottles. So people do go back there and drink. It may be, the vagrants, I don't know, or teenagers, I doubt, but they're right. People use that passageway down there, and it's just not safe for the residents. That's all I have for it.
Well, I don't have much tonight. I'm trying to work through this process of, I get a lot of inquiries or people contacting me in favor of all the things we've done on Armour Road, and phone calls that are not so much in favor of it. I'll mention to people that Saturday, September 7th, from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m., there's going to be a bicycle master plan open house at the Parks and Recreation Building. So, I want to throw that out there to all the people in favor of it and all the people that are opposed to it. That's all I have. Thank you.
None this evening, sir.
Let me ask a question about the meeting about the complete street. The project's not even done yet. So how are we going to have a meeting about the results of the project before the project's even
Mayor
done?
Cielo indicated that he wanted to have that meeting sooner. I understood, by the way, someone mentioned to me you were going to ask about the delineators that are part of the project. And yes, one of the elements of the project which has not been installed yet are delineators which would delineate the bicycle lanes. We had not put those up, and to be honest with you, we wanted to make sure that the council wanted us to proceed with those before we did.
Yeah, because some of the issues, certainly with the drive lane and other issue where vehicles don't know where to go, is the fact that those probably aren't there.
Well, one thing that we will be prepared to do at that work session is provide a rendering to you of what those delineators will look like. I just want to be real sure before we do anything further, given some of the negative comments that have been received, that council's fully aware of what we're talking about doing and is on board with it. And so that was a decision on my part to wait until we did get the council go-ahead, and the September 17th meeting would hopefully be an opportunity for you to indicate that you'd like us to proceed with that, and then we'll get those ordered and put them up. Other than that, I think the project is largely complete. Would you agree with that, Sarah? Yeah. But that's the one element that we have not yet done.
Thank you.
The colorful crosswalks are really attractive. I like them. As staff and council members know, I'm still a little bit leery of what's going on once everything gets going down there with bicycles and cars, and nobody seems to know where they're going. But the colorful crosswalks, I'm liking a lot. So thank you for those.
All right. First thing, I want to thank the group that came out here to express an issue. This is kind of how it's supposed to work. Come out and talk to us about things that are going on, and we'll discuss it. So thank you for coming out and being willing to share and well-researched. You know what's going on. So thank you for that. Second part, to follow up on Councilmember DeLong's question. So the delineators haven't been installed. One of the biggest things that I'm hearing now are people are still parking outside the post office right along the curb. With delineators, that concern goes away unless people are going to crash right through them. So I'm still kind of confused why we would have a meeting on the 17th when it's not finished and there's going to be people who are coming in to discuss things so I would ask if we could, maybe have a little discussion about that before we schedule something for sure on the 17th. Third thing, the parking lot that Mr. Groves mentioned across from Paul and Jack's, I drove by there over this past week, and it was largely empty at the point of time when public could park there. And I think that's because there's a lot of private parking signs, tow-away zone signs right at the entrance. And if I didn't know better, there's no shot I would park there because it looks as I'm driving by, it says private parking, it says tow-away, there's a picture of a tow truck. Yeah, and I would just be curious if we could maybe reevaluate the signage on that lot, because that's a lot of space at a very congested part of town.
We can talk to the private property owner
Sure.
of that lot and see
Sure.
if they're willing to amend the signage, but it is ultimately their lot, which is being used
Absolutely.
by arrangement by the city.
Maybe we post hours.
We can
there.
talk to them.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks.
I thought we already did that.
We had previous discussions, but we'll have another conversation.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. Well, I wanted to also thank those of you who spoke tonight, neighbors, and also Rich Groves, Business Council. And I agree with Councilmember Smith. This is the way government works. Your communication back to us is very important to make sure that we're moving the city forward is the way you and all of us want it to be moved forward. I just have one thing to say about Armour. I'm starting to get used to it. I've actually had a lot more positive comments, not just emails, but positive comments and negative, though I do get occasionally a negative one. But my takeaway so far is that nobody likes a diet, and especially a road diet. Like, we do not like road diets. And I've been driving in the wrong lane, and then I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get over. But now I'm starting to get used to it, so we'll see what happens. And I agree kind of with the 17th meeting, but if we want to have a conversation, then it's not gonna harm anything. So we'll go forward and kind of get everyone's feedback and thoughts.
Sorry to cut you off. I did have one more question on that. I mean, that was an item we all approved, to have the delineators out there.
Yes, sir.
Is this a,
But
like a veto or what?
No,
I mean, what
sir.
is the
I just, the criticism that we had heard was that perhaps it was not fully understood what was planned until the construction began. And I wanted to make very sure that the city council was aware before delineators go up that will make it appear very different. So I'm not trying to thwart the council's will, but I just want to make sure that the council is aware of what's going up and is okay with it before we proceed.
Okay. Thank you.
Seeing it on paper and seeing it in real life are potentially two different things, so we'll work
That's the
through
thought.
it.
We will show a picture which we think will come close to showing you what it will look like
Yeah.
when it's installed.
Okay, that's all I have tonight. Thank you. Yeah.
Sarah, do we have any indication of how the bicycle rental is going? I mean, do you have any numbers on that?
You mean the bike share stations?
Yeah, those racks of bicycles that they rent.
We haven't asked them for updated information in a few months. We could ask them to provide some information.
I think it'd be interesting, yeah. Okay.
Can I ask one other question? Sarah, you had indicated that on Armour Road, the Operation Greenlight was going to come in and do an analysis and maybe switch around the lights. Have they done that, or will they do that before the 17th? Do you know?
They had already made some interim changes to the traffic timing.
Okay.
So there is an AM peak timing and then a PM peak. They've moved up the PM peak, and they did this a few weeks ago, so that our PM peak hour timing actually starts at 11:45 a.m. And goes through 6:30.
Okay.
They are looking at making some additional adjustments.
What minor adjustments?
And actually, we had a conference call with them this morning. They made some adjustments at Armour and Iron last Thursday to, they adjusted the amount of time that's given to the turns versus the through movement on Armour Road. And now they're waiting to see the impact of those over the next few days. That might be the last change that they make, kind of given how that goes. But they are continuing to monitor it.
Sure.
And our engineer for the project has provided some recommendations to them as well for, kind of more dramatic changes to the signal timing, but we're waiting to see if those are necessary.
Okay, good to know for our meeting on the 17th. Thank you.
15.
Item 15, consideration of a request to hold and recess into executive session as requested by the city administrator to be held on this date on a real estate matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statute 610.021.
So moved.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Clevenger.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen.
Yes.
Councilmember Farr.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong.
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Pierman.
Yes.